They told you the third eye is your pineal gland, that a tiny calcified organ buried in your brainstem holds the secrets of the universe, that if you detox it, decalcify it, stimulate it, you'll see beyond the veil. But that's only part of the story. And like every partial truth, it hides a deeper deception. Yes, the pineal gland is real. Yes, it's sensitive to light. Yes, it produces melatonin and maybe even DMT. But here's what they never told you. The third eye is not biological. It's energetic, metaphysical, archetypal, and reducing it to a piece of anatomy is like saying love is just oxytocin or consciousness is just neurons firing. The pineal gland is a gate. The third eye is what moves through it. Imagine this. Your body is a temple. The pineal is the doorway inside it. But the third eye, that's the seer, the awareness that stands beyond space, beyond time, watching through that doorway. Ancient texts didn't obsess over the pineal. They talked about perception, sight without eyes, knowing without thought. They described the Ajna chakra, not the pineal gland, as the seat of inner vision. So how did we end up equating the third eye with a gland? Modern spirituality got hijacked by reductionism. In a desperate attempt to prove mysticism through science, we started equating symbols with substances. We turned metaphors into mechanisms. We tried to make the invisible fit inside the measurable. And in doing so, we lost the nuance, the depth, the truth. You've been doing breathing exercises, drinking spring water, chanting mantras to decalcify your pineal. And while there's value in caring for your physical vessel, let's be honest, your third eye isn't blocked because of fluoride. It's blocked because of forgetting. Forgetting how to see without eyes. This is the key difference. The pineal gland is part of the hardware. The third eye is the consciousness using that hardware. They're linked, but they're not the same. If the third eye is a symbol of spiritual sight, multidimensional access, and soul intelligence, then reducing it to a gland is not just misinformation, it's containment. Let's go back. Ancient Egypt, the Eye of Horus. Look closely at the symbol. It isn't just an eye. Anatomists notice something else. Its curves mirror the shape of the brain's interior, including the pineal gland. But the Egyptians weren't teaching biology. They were encoding levels of awareness. The left eye of Horus represented intuition, the right, logic. The full eye symbolized the whole mind, not just the gland buried inside it. In Vedic tradition, the third eye, Ajna, is not a physical spot. It's a center of perception, the point where duality collapses, where you see truth without distortion. It exists in the subtle body, not in the flesh. So where did the confusion start? Fast forward to the West. As materialism took over spiritual discourse, mystics began trying to translate metaphysical truths into biological terms. Not out of malice, but desperation. If it could be measured, maybe it could be taken seriously. So they grabbed onto the pineal gland. Why? Because it was mysterious. Because Descartes once called it the seat of the soul. Because it's light sensitive, because it secretes hormones while we dream. It was the perfect candidate for a scientific sounding third eye. But in doing so, we took something infinite and tried to cram it into a millimeter of flesh. And the result? Confusion, misdirection, people obsessing over supplements, detox kits, and DMT trips, while forgetting that true vision has nothing to do with chemistry. Let's be honest. Do you really think ancient sages spent years in caves decalcifying their pineals? Or were they cultivating something subtler, conscious attention, inner silence, the ability to witness thought without becoming it? Your third eye isn't activated by what you ingest. It activates when you stop identifying with the noise, when you turn perception inward, when you watch the watcher. That's not something you buy, that's something you become. So why the lie? Why the push to make the third eye just another organ? Because when you reduce power to physiology, you make it manageable, you make it treatable, you create a market. And worse, you convince people that the key to awakening is external. That's the trap. You've seen the videos, heard the promises. Activate your pineal gland in 7 days. Decalcify to awaken psychic vision. But nobody tells you what it actually feels like when the third eye, the real one, starts to awaken. Because it's not fireworks, it's not flashing colors or psychedelic shows. At least, not at first. It's disorientation. It's watching your thoughts and realizing they're not you. It's suddenly knowing something is wrong with the world, but not being able to unsee it. It starts with silence, but not peaceful silence, confrontational silence. The kind that reveals how noisy your mind actually is. The opening of the third eye isn't something you do. It's something that happens when you stop resisting. And when it happens, the pineal gland might pulse. You might feel pressure in the center of your forehead. You might experience light behind closed eyes. But more than all of that, you start to notice patterns, synchronicities, repetitions that break probability. You meet people at the exact moment you were thinking about them. You dream about things that happen days later. You feel drawn to information that cracks open something ancient inside you. This isn't magic. It's perception without distortion. It's not about seeing the future. It's about stepping outside of time. And here's the twist. Most people fight it because when the third eye opens, your old world view dies. The story of who you thought you were collapses. Your job, your relationships, your goals, they all begin to feel hollow. And that's terrifying. So people turn back, numb it out, distract themselves, try to close the door. But if you're still watching this, you've already peeked through that door. And the third eye doesn't forget. It will keep showing you the cracks in the matrix. It will keep whispering through dreams, déjà vu, and the sudden urge to change everything. So here's what I'll say. Don't chase the activation. Don't look for a switch to flip. Sit still, watch, let it reveal itself. Because the third eye doesn't open because you're ready. It opens to show you what you're really ready for. If that hits something real inside you, you're not alone. Subscribe now and turn on the bell, because this channel isn't here to entertain, it's here to wake something up. When people hear third eye, they think vision, psychic sight, seeing auras, spirits, energies, but that's only one aspect. The deeper truth. The third eye is an interface, a multidimensional radar tuned to frequencies most can't detect. And when it begins to wake up, you stop relying on what your physical eyes tell you is real. You feel when someone's lying, even if they smile. You sense the energy of a room the moment you walk in. You notice symbols repeating on billboards, clocks, dreams, conversations, like the universe is using reality as a feedback loop. This isn't imagination, this is signal detection. The third eye connects to your subtle body, the energy field that surrounds and animates your physical self. In ancient systems, this is called the pranic field, aura, or etheric web. It's the part of you that stretches beyond flesh, constantly interacting with environments, people, and higher dimensions. When your third eye is active, this field starts sending back data. You feel when someone drains you, even if they never touch you. You get sick in places with stagnant energy. You have dreams about events before they unfold because your perception is no longer locked in linear time. This is when most people panic because the boundaries between the internal and the external blur. You feel other people's pain, their thoughts, their hidden motives. It's overwhelming, especially if you haven't built energetic boundaries. That's the next layer of truth. The third eye doesn't just open, it must be anchored. Without grounding, this type of sensitivity leads to paranoia, fatigue, burnout, because you're seeing too much, too fast. That's why monks meditate in silence, why shamans do rituals before opening the inner gate. It's not superstition, it's energetic hygiene. So if your third eye is waking up and you feel drained, dizzy, overstimulated, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just raw. You need tools, practices, like breathwork to center, salt baths to cleanse, journaling to integrate, because the third eye is a tuning device, and tuning takes time. Think of it like learning to hear a frequency nobody else hears. At first it's noise, but slowly patterns emerge, clarity forms, the static becomes a signal, and the signal, it's truth, pure, unapologetic, unfiltered truth. But truth can be uncomfortable, especially when it shows you the parts of yourself you've avoided. That's why this journey isn't for everyone. It's not glamorous, it's not always beautiful, but it's real. And in a world full of lies, realness is a form of rebellion. Think about this. How many choices have you made based on logic that ended up betraying your gut? How many times have you said something feels off, but ignored it? That voice wasn't just instinct, it was the resonance sensor of your third eye. You see, in a world engineered to manipulate perception through media, belief systems, trauma conditioning, the ability to see past the illusion is revolutionary. And that's what the third eye was always meant to do. It doesn't just detect energy, it decodes intention. You can walk into a room and know who's in alignment and who's masking. You can feel an opportunity and know if it's expansion or entrapment. You can hear someone's words and simultaneously receive their real emotional frequency without them saying a thing. This is real-time, energetic discernment. And here's the crazy part. It doesn't come with fireworks or drama. It's subtle. A small tug, a whisper, a chill, a heat, a pause. Most people miss it because they're trained to override it with logic. But when your third eye is active, logic becomes secondary. You don't abandon it, you just don't obey it blindly. Instead, you navigate through gut pulls that don't make sense, but always prove right. Sudden clarity in moments of confusion. Visualizations that feel more like memories than imagination. This is what ancient mystics meant when they said, "Know thyself." Because the third eye doesn't give you new information. It strips away false information until only truth remains. But with that truth comes responsibility. When you begin to see clearly, you can no longer pretend you don't know. You can't stay in dead-end relationships. You can't work for systems that drain your soul. You can't keep living a life built on shoulds while your inner compass screams no. That's why most people unconsciously resist third eye activation. Not because they fear mystical visions, but because they fear change. True sight demands transformation, and transformation demands courage. Because the moment you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Let's get honest. Most people think activating the third eye means seeing angels, light codes, sacred geometry, divine visions. But they're not ready for the shadow, the fear, the faces that show up in the dark. And when those come, they panic. They think something went wrong, that they opened a door they shouldn't have. But here's the truth. The third eye doesn't just reveal light. It reveals everything. It doesn't just show you the high dimensions. It shows you what's been festering beneath your emotional floorboards, your suppressed rage, your unresolved pain, the part of you pretend isn't there, because that's what real vision is. It doesn't filter for comfort. When your third eye opens, it pulls the veil off your trauma, your karmic loops, your energetic parasites. It forces you to see the roles you've been playing, the identities you've been clinging to, the lies you've believed about yourself and others. And for some people, that's too much. So they call it a spiritual attack. They try to shut it down, close the third eye, retreat into numbness. But the truth is, what you're seeing isn't an attack, it's a mirror. Your third eye didn't create the darkness, it just stopped letting you pretend it wasn't there. This is what initiates call the threshold, the moment where the path splits. Either you face the shadow and integrate it, or you turn away and stay asleep. And here's the twist most people miss. The darkness you encounter during third eye awakening isn't punishment, it's a gift. It's your unconscious surfacing so it can be seen, healed, released, because every shadow you integrate expands your capacity for truth, for presence, for light. And the third eye doesn't just measure how much you see, it measures how much truth you're willing to hold. That's why the process is messy. That's why some people cry, lose relationships, change careers, isolate, awaken psychic sensitivity, feel everything more intensely. It's not falling apart, it's coming apart, so you can rebuild from a deeper foundation. And just like a snake sheds skin that no longer fits, you're shedding the identity that kept your sight dulled. So next time the visions get intense, the dreams get dark, the emotions spike, don't run. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what am I being shown that I've been avoiding? That single question turns fear into fuel. Most people live like they're fully awake. They trust their five senses. They believe what they see is real. They follow clocks, rules, expectations. But something starts to shift when the third eye awakens. You begin to sense that the waking world might not be as solid as you thought. That time doesn't behave the way you've been told. That people play roles they don't even realize they're acting out. You begin to realize you're dreaming while awake. And the third eye, it's the one thing that doesn't dream. It watches. When this realization kicks in, reality feels glitchy. You walk into a room and forget why you're there. You speak words and realize they're not coming from you. You notice repeated numbers, overheard conversations that feel like messages. You see people differently, like masks slipping. This is what spiritual traditions meant by Maya, illusion. Not that the world isn't real, but that it's filtered, scripted, programmed. And just like in lucid dreaming, the moment you know it's a dream, you start to gain control. The third eye gives you that lucid awareness. It doesn't change the dream. It changes how you move through it. You stop reacting to triggers. You start asking, what's the lesson here? What's this emotion pointing to? Who am I beyond this moment? You become a witness to your own story, and from that place, you can rewrite it. But that's not all. There's another side to this. When your third eye is truly open, the boundary between dream state and waking state collapses. The symbols from your dreams start showing up in the day. The conversations you had in astral form bleed into real life. You meet people you already know without knowing how. And your intuition stops whispering. It starts leading. You begin to operate from what sages call non-local awareness. You don't just think, you tune in. And that's when your reality bends. Not because you're performing magic tricks, but because your internal compass becomes so accurate, your external life reorganizes itself around your clarity. You're no longer living by default, you're living by design. But this kind of seeing comes at a cost. You can't pretend anymore. The lies you used to tolerate, intolerable. The distractions you used to crave, empty. The roles you used to play, obsolete. The third eye doesn't just give you sight, it demands alignment. And alignment by now, you've felt it. The third eye isn't just some mystical organ to be activated with crystals or chants. It's not a button you press. It's a process you surrender to. It's the part of you that was never asleep, but patiently waiting for you to remember. You've learned that the pineal gland is a tool, not the source. That the third eye is your deep inner awareness, beyond thought, beyond emotion, beyond self-image. It's the witness, the decoder, the revealer. And you've also seen why this truth was buried. Because the system we live in depends on blindness. Blindness to energy, blindness to intention, blindness to our own soul. But when the third eye opens, the lies unravel. You stop being programmable. You stop chasing empty validation. You stop obeying systems that were never built to serve you. You start choosing who you are, choosing how you live, choosing how deeply you're willing to see. But here's the final truth. The third eye doesn't make you more powerful. It shows you how powerful you've always been. It puts the responsibility back in your hands. Because once you see the pattern, the loop, the illusion, you can't pretend anymore. And from that moment on, your life becomes a practice, not of belief, but of direct perception. So if you're here, watching this, resonating with this, it's because something inside you has already started to awaken. Not because of this video, but because it's your time. Let this be your reminder. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need a guru to give you sight. You just need to get quiet enough to listen. Because the truth is already speaking through you. Every déjà vu, every dream, every discomfort, every synchronicity. The question is, are you finally ready to see what your soul has been trying to show you all along? Let me ask you this. What was the first moment in your life that made you question reality? Was it a dream? A coincidence too weird to ignore? A gut feeling that turned out to be right? Drop it in the comments. Because your story might be the exact message someone else needs to wake up. And if this resonated, you already know what to do. Watch the next video, because your journey didn't start here, and it's nowhere near done.